and her name is Holly Bear. And let me talk about her first. It is very doubtful that you're going to see her down here. And for those of you that are here at the North American Bear Center today, that's unfortunate, but it is day number 2 of Holly Bear learning the 2.5 acres. We opened her den door, or her pen door, approximately 10 o'clock, about 10 o'clock this morning. Took her about 4 or 5 minutes to step out of her pen, and she did, somewhat hesitantly, and she's been hovering around her pen area, not willing to explore alone. And I want to recap a little bit about what happened yesterday for those of you that weren't here. Yesterday was Holly's debut, and she had a lot of help getting her out of her pen to make her feel safe and secure in her new enclosure. Ted Bear was out, just about where he is right now, except he was on one of his logs. And Holly Bear had Dr. Rogers, Sue Mansfield, Sharon, and Heidi. And Sharon and Heidi are the two that have spent the most time with Holly. And she has actually shown a liking to both of those two ladies, and she had both of them walking with her yesterday, encouraging her along the way. During her about couple-hour exploration yesterday, after about an hour or so, maybe an hour and a half, she did make it down to this area here, where you're looking, the pond area. She did make it there with a lot of help from Sharon and Heidi encouraging her, and of course some food treats. She got to about 20 feet from Ted, who was perched on one of these 2 logs, and Ted was just being gentle Ted. He didn't approach her, he just was hanging out, watching her, but she was a little concerned, so she got maybe 20 feet from Ted, and that was enough. Well, after her about 4 hours of exploring yesterday, we found her about 20 feet from her enclosure in a daybed of luckies. Heidi called to her, and she came to Heidi and actually wanted to go in her enclosure where she feels secure and she feels safe. We happened to notice, for those of us that watched the Holly Cam, that she was doing a lot of resting and sleeping early on, 6, 7, 8 o'clock last evening, versus running around and being spunky Holly. So she had a lot of activity going on yesterday, and as I've been talking, I saw Sharon at the other side of the pond, back by the tree line. For those of you that may be up on the deck, you may have a view of Holly if she's been able to get her down. I don't know. If you do see Holly, and she's only an 81-pound little yearling, she looks pretty petite compared to Ted. But what we're trying to do today, day number 2 of the Holly Adventures, is to see how much she is willing to do on her own without human intervention. We've got her paired up with Ted, gentle Ted, because when Lucky came 7 years ago, Ted really played the big brother figure for Lucky, and it took Lucky about 2 months to get comfortable, to get close to Ted. So we're going to see if we can do something similar with Holly. We really don't know. But Ted has been demonstrated his gentleness with Lucky 7 years ago, and Ted is the same as he was then. We think, by seeing the behavior of Holly and Lucky, looking at the Holly Cam, that Lucky may be her playmate. He's 7, a little closer to her age. He has definitely shown an interest in her, as a potential playmate, or at least as something he's very, very curious about. And probably the last bear that we're going to introduce Holly to is probably going to be Honey Bear. Honey Bear is a female. She's an 18-year-old female. And we don't know what necessarily any of these bears are going to do. We're just using our knowledge of their personality and what have you to gauge that Honey will probably attempt to tree Holly. And we don't want that to happen right away. We just want her to work into that. So now I want to focus on Ted Bear. Ted is rolling in the cedar chips, cedar mulch, whatever you want to call it. It's really mulch. Just gotten at the local feed store. Nothing special, nothing fancy. And why does Ted want to do that so much? Well, I don't know if you know, there's bugs out, mosquitoes, whatever. They've shown up here in the last week with a vengeance. In fact, I don't even like to have these short sleeves on because they get my arms. But some vulnerable places for bears is their face, around their eyes, their ears, and sometimes on their belly because there's less fur there. And when they roll in cedar, cedar has an oil in it that is a natural detractant to bugs. And they know, if you watch Ted, if you watched him carefully, he did roll his head, his whole head area, neck area, face area, with the cedar chips. And that will help him with bugs, ticks, mosquitoes, and whatever. We put that out as soon as we know that there are some mosquitoes out there. It's pretty easy to see them on a black bear bothering them, and they know to go there. I'll go back to when I walked in here a few minutes after Ted was showing off his dexterity skills with a cube. We had put some treats in there for him, and the cube has 2 holes in it, and that's the only way the treats are going to come out. And the bears have learned that you have to manipulate that cube in such a way to get the treats out. Ted is very good at manipulating the cube. Honey is an expert at the cube. Lucky, interesting Lucky, he gets frustrated with the cube, and he has a habit sometimes, if he doesn't get it out as fast as he would like, he picks it up and slams it on the ground, thinking maybe force will work better than manipulation. And it doesn't. And he learns that. I don't have anything, big guy. Ted went on the scale, and I didn't want to feed him on the scale. For those of you in the worldwide watching, I put my hands up, and he quickly backed away. PTZ driver, focus on Sharon at the other end of the pond. And for those of you that are here at the Bear Center, I'm talking to a volunteer somewhere in the world that is driving a pan, tilt, and zoom camera. And he or she is one of the moderators of our pond chat, family-friendly pond chat, where you can ask questions about black bears, or other bears for that matter, in a family-friendly environment, get answers, get the correct answers, and learn about black bears. So let me say one more time to the PTZ driver, focus between just to the left of the high falls. You will see Sharon. She's got a kind of a white t-shirt on and a hat. And she is beyond Sharon. For those of you that are here at the North American Bear Center, you would only be able to see Holly on the deck. You would not be able to see her in the viewing area, main floor. Sharon indicates, as she hollered at me, that she is exploring a log. Holly is exploring a log just on the other side of the tree line. Right now I'm looking at the back of Sharon, and she obviously has Holly in tow, or maybe Holly has her in tow, I'm not really sure. She has Holly, I'm referring to Holly now. Holly has made it down here since about 11 o'clock or 10 of 11 when Sharon said she was going to go up there and see where Holly was. Sharon was the one that put the cube out for Ted, and I walked out here a few minutes later. And I will recap what the goal is today. The goal for day 2 of Holly . Day 2 for Holly is to see how much, if any, assistance she needs in feeling safe and secure in this 2.5 acres. And is she willing to meet gentle Ted? Ted knows something's going on. His nose is working. But he doesn't know what. I don't think he does. I'm not going to call the big bear's name again. But he knows something's going on. I think Sharon, Ted is on the way. We always work in pairs. Ted Bear. Ted Bear. Our goal right now, Sharon wants to bring Holly down. To bring Holly down, we need to get Ted back down. I'm working off of cues that Sharon has given me. And for those of you on the PTZ, Ted is right behind the rock den in the bushes. I'm going to go off mic for a minute and strategize with Sharon. Ted Bear. Ted Bear. Ted Bear. Ted Bear. I'm back on mic, but you can't see me. Ted Bear. Me and Ted. Ted and I. Come on, Ted. I'm actually behind the rock den for the peak. I'm going to go off mic again and try to ascertain where the little one is. This is Judy. I'm back on mic, and I'm actually behind the rock den with Ted. I've been hearing Sharon call for Holly Bear. Good old Ted, he wants to help out, but he doesn't realize how big he is and what he might look like to a little 81-pound yearling who is not familiar with her surroundings. But Ted was willing to help out, but we would like to get Holly down here rather than Ted go up there, so everybody can learn together us here at the Bear Center, as well as all of you on the worldwide net here. I'm going to quickly recap. It's day 2 of Holly Bear's exploring the Holly adventure story. Day 2. This is totally unscripted. Hopefully you would know that. Totally unscripted. And we are working with how the bears are responding to us and each other. Ted Bear Ted clearly wants to go back there. He's determined to go get her himself. And both Sharon and I are going to throw up our hands and say, okay, Ted. It's not like Ted to refuse food. But I think he knows he's got a playmate back in the woods. Or he certainly wants to investigate. I'm going to go off mic a little bit and consult with where little Holly Bear might be. In the woods. We do have a visual on Holly playing with logs, running up and down a log. I'm not sure if the PTZ driver, can zoom that far. I just told Ted I wasn't going to give him any food. Sharon, Ted is following you. We always work in pairs out here at a minimum. Ted's telling us he's going to go take care of it and go visit. No, actually he's going to go for some green grapes that is on a stump there. He's figuring out how's he going to get the green grapes, or maybe he's going to pass them by. I'm not sure. It's a little buggy out here. If I was a bear, I'd be rolling in the cedar pile as well. Come on, Holly Bear. Holly Bear is walking on a large tree that has fallen at an approximate 45-degree angle, as you can see my arm. And she is walking up and playing with the branches on this pretty dead tree. It's not uncommon for a yearling to be in a tree. I'm going to go offline a minute. This is Judy back online again. Sharon and I are going to be coming out of the enclosure. And Ted apparently wants to explore, and that's fine. Because Ted's not a climber anymore. But you know what? We're going to let Ted and Holly introduce themselves to each other, because you know that's the way it happens in the woods. But then I would focus on where Ted entered the woods, and I suspect Ted is going to go wherever he thinks Holly is. Although Holly is no match for Ted, she can run very quickly circles around Ted. He will not harm her in any way. What we see on Ted's part is curiosity. I want to thank all the volunteers worldwide that make these types of broadcasts possible. We here at the North American Bear Center provide the people on site here to try to educate and teach you about what's going on. And you people out there moderate chat sites, Facebook pages, and other things to get the message out about education here at the North American Bear Center. And those sites, all those social media sites, are managed, supervised, and moderated by worldwide volunteers of the North American Bear Center. Without them, the North American Bear Center is a nonprofit organization. We get our funding solely from admissions, gift shop, donations from people worldwide that are interested in dispelling myths and misperceptions about black bears. Thank you for your patience and your understanding about what we're trying to do. It's going to be a very different summer here at the North American Bear Center, and very, very exciting. We are going to work every day at introducing Holly to more and more of the 2.5 acres. It doesn't happen overnight, it's a process. As she's able to learn, understand, and become familiar not only with the 2.5 acres, but with her caregivers, as well as getting to learn Gentle Ted, Curious Lucky, and Honey, who tends to like to be solitary. We are open every day from now until after the Labor Day holiday from 9 to 7. And for those of you that are here at the Bear Center today, your admissions fee is a day pass. I will tell the worldwide audience, I didn't tell you the temperature. It's about 67, 68, but it's very humid. It rained earlier today. It's becoming overcast and in full. We have Ted by the swing playing with an old fire hose, and he is also doing what we call marking. He is putting his scent on that tree, and who knows, maybe it's for Holly. We don't know. I'm going to sign off here at the North American Bear Center. Our next worldwide broadcast will be 4 p.m. today, and we don't know where Holly is going to be, but if you got time, tune in at 4 o'clock this afternoon, Ely time, and we'll see what she has done this afternoon concerning her adventures, maybe down to the pond, or getting herself introduced to Ted, all on her own. Thank you very much for coming to the North American Bear Center. Enjoy your day. Safe travels wherever you may go.